It's John Deere Classic week, and us here at DFS Army, we love these weeks where the field is not very good. You got to do a little bit more research. There's opportunities to make big bucks. Let's get to it. We got the John Deere Classic. This is the DFS Army Dead by Noon PGA podcast. Let's go. What is up, everybody? It's your boy DFSUpNorth, aka Josh Thomas, here with another DFS Army Dead by Noon PGA podcast. This week, we're talking about the John Deere Classic at TPC Deere Run in the Quad Cities area between Iowa and Illinois. And guess what? Happy 4th of July to all of my listeners from England. Sorry you have to work today. We got today off. Happy Independence Day. We are, just getting the grill fired up here. I'm turning this on as we wait for the meat to get done and talk a little bit about the JDC. All right. Before we get started, though, if you like this content, you like what we're doing at DFS Army, you want to get notified as soon as this stuff publishes, please like and subscribe to the DFS Army YouTube page. Also, if you're not a DFS Army VIP yet, I don't know what you are waiting for. Guys are crushing it every single week. Literally, US Open, somebody won $1 million using the domination station. Again, use that code PGA you get 50% off your first month, 10% off every month after that. I'll put the link down here in the description. Let's get to it, everybody. We are at the JDC Classic. Let me get my screen up here. John Deere Classic, TPC Deere Run, the heartland of America. We are in Silvis, Illinois. Yep, there we go. Silvis, Illinois, at TPC Deere Run. This is usually a weak field, but there are some interesting angles in here, interesting narratives always with the JDC. So a lot of guys have had a ton of success here over their careers. Guys like Jordan Spieth. We saw Bryson DeChambeau get his first ever win at this event, get into the Open Championship the next week if you win here. So sometimes we get guys who have not qualified yet playing this week. But for the most part, just with the way the schedule is this year, it's an interesting field, all right? And we're going to look at it, and I think there's some angles and edges in that we can do. But before we get to that, we're going to talk about the course. And before I go any further, I want to get something out there. We are today doing something a little bit different. I never, ever talk about FanDuel. And today, this is going to be a FanDuel-centric podcast. I figure next week's the Open Championship. We might as well dive into FanDuel this week. And it's a good week, especially in an event like this. And we'll look and see if there's any satellites here on FanDuel. But a good week to stack up some tickets, all right, to get into the next week. So, John Deere Classic, right? The course. We were playing a TPC Deere Run, and it is a birdie fest. Par 71, 72.68. Let me see here. I just got to scroll down a second here. Yep. I got 72.89 down here. 12 on the stimp. D.A. Weibring, design, former PGA Tour pro. It's really, it's an easy course. All right. It's a classic Midwest, a little bit of rolling hills and things like that, but fairly wide-ish fairways, easy green complexes. There's nothing that is super hard here. The issue is that you need to avoid water at some of these holes down the stretch to avoid a big number. Big numbers here are the death of you. And we've seen guys do that before. So really what you need to do here is you just got to make birdies and eagles. I think we've seen guys win at I think Mikey Kim won at -30 here. All right. Smallish greens, okay, sand, a couple of water hazards in play, but the big switch this week for us is the return to bent grass or fully bent grass greens here in the Midwest. There's no POA overseed here, and then fairways are bent grass as well. Kentucky bluegrass / fescue. I don't know. I'm in the Midwest here. I'm in Minnesota, and this is just basically standard what we play. All right, so what do you need to do well here, right? Well, we know it's a birdie fest, so you got to be able to putt a little bit. But I think that your strokes gain approach is really where it's at. Guys who are coming in who are firing on all cylinders with their irons and then can maybe heat up with the putter or are good putters to begin with. That is huge, right? I think also you can overpower this course a little bit, but more than anything, you do need to be in the fairway to attack these greens with your irons. So guys, guys who are maybe a little wayward here will tend to struggle. We do see this be, like I said, a course history course. Par 4 performance is big. The greens aren't super fast. So who's coming in hot, right? Well, the highest priced guy here, Denny McCarthy, 33.41 strokes gained total, followed by Eric Cole, who, interesting story, just last week, skipped last week, didn't play the Detroit Rocket Mortgage Classic because he was playing in an event, at a professional event in Pennsylvania that gave him a free entry when he was struggling. And he actually went out, crushed. I think he won by like eight strokes, and donated the $20,000 prize back to the foundation, which is awesome. So Russell Henley, who we'll hear more about in a bit, Ches Reavie, who we'll hear more about in a little bit, and Sepp Straka are your 5 golfers coming in hot. Guys with fire John Deere Classic history, Lucas Glover, who showed up last week, did kind of have a ceiling putting performance last week, so I don't love him too much this week, but guys like Patton Kizzire have great history. P-Raj, runner up to Bryson DeChambeau that year. Zach Johnson makes the cut here every single year. Weirdly, Scott Brown does well here, and then Russell Henley, right? So Russell Henley, as I'm going to say here in a minute, is a core play for me this week, and is a guy that I am going to be all in on, and the reason being is just the way that the course sets up, right? He's great tee to green, and he's a guy who can heat up with the putter, right? 11th and 12th, second here in his two appearances. If he just has a neutral putting week, he's going to smash. And as we see on FanDuel here in a minute, I think it's hard to get Henley and McCarthy in the same lineup. You can do it. It's not ideal, but I do prefer Henley over McCarthy this week. I'm going to have plenty of Denny McCarthy, but he's a guy that I am all in on. My other core plays this week are Alex Smalley. We're going right back to the well with Smalley. He was 16th here last year, 47th year before. He's gained over 13 strokes approach the last 2 weeks. So again, another guy who we're just looking for that spike putting week, and maybe that return to bent grass is what Smalley needs. All right. Ches Reavie, I have no, like 7,700, 9,000. Like, I have no idea what we are doing here with Ches on both sites at this price point. Like, the guy's been outstanding. He's got what, 6 straight made cuts, 9 of his last 10. The approach game's on fire. His putter needs to heat up a little bit, but even like a mediocre week for Ches, and he pays off this price point. Callum Tarren's a guy that we actually talked about in this podcast last week when I was looking at, who rates out well with like the wedge game and things like that. And Tarren was a guy who kept showing up. I put him more in my player pool, and he smashed. And we're going right back to him this week. Callum Tarren is a guy that I am super high on. If we look at the research station, right? Oh, let me get to my copy here. Remember, if you're a DFS Army VIP, make that copy so that you can sort everything. But if we sort over the last 10 rounds, we can see that, look who's here. On average, Alex Smalley is doing about 1.53 strokes gained approach. Cole is second. There's Callum Tarren showing up on that list. There's Ches Reavie. There's Russell Henley. So my 4 core plays, right? We're really going in on these guys who are crushing with their irons. If we look at birdies or better gain, we know that we need to do that here. The guys at the top, we're looking at fairly small sample size of recent. Recent goes for the last 15 PGA Tour events played. And Marty Dow, I've probably got 21 events. I've only got 3 events for Kadira or for Gordon Sargent. But Marty Dow, I think, is a great play this week. So I don't have any Kadira this week. He's been making cuts, I guess. Like, he was 30th here last year. Maybe he's a guy we need to get into our lineups, but guys like Denny McCarthy, Carson Young, Doug Gim has been playing some outstanding golf lately, so he's showing up on those birdie or better gain. Let's see fantasy points gained. Who is actually gaining fantasy points? It's calculated by the total fantasy points scored to that of the average fantasy points scored in each event. So it does look at kind of our event it's strength, right? But guys like Denny McCarthy, right? Steven Jagger, Russell Henley, Carson Young again, Doug Gim again, guys who've just been playing really well. Ches Reavie's right up there. So, that's kind of where I'm going with my guys. And look, I really do. I like Denny this week. I think that he is going to be more popular than my boy Russie Henley. At this point, it's Tuesday afternoon at about 4:43. If that doesn't end up being the case, then we can always change our mind here. And if you want to, know if I'm going to change my mind, right? You've got to become a DFS Army VIP, which you can do by using the code PGA Millie. All right, let's go to FanDuel. We are going to build a single entry lineup. All right. First, you look at the contests. There's obviously, like, I don't ever chase the Eagle. I don't love the payout structure. 20,000 to first. We're looking at what? Not even a fifth. Yeah, 500 for 10th. Like, I'm not chasing the Eagle. For me, my kind of entries are where I'm going, or I don't. Okay, let's see the 250. You can enter two. First is 60. That's not bad for only 74 players. The power fade is one that I typically enjoy. 400 to first, yeah, 50 to 10th. I'm looking for about 10% from first to the bottom there. The caddy is always a good contest structure. 400 to first, yep, 40th for 10th. So that's what you kind of want to look for. Let's look for, though, see if we have some. Do we have any qualifiers this week? Nothing. Oh, there we go. Satellites and qualifiers. So, only NFL this week. Well, that's annoying. I know DraftKings does have some. But hey, load up on some Sunday Millies. Let's just build one for the Sunday Millie here. All right. So if we're gonna build single entry this week, right? So like I said, I am going to try to prioritize getting guys like Russell Henley in my lineup. I didn't really talk about Cam Young. I think this is a get right spot for him. If there's anybody that needs a get right spot, it's Cam Young. He's been awful. Aberg, I love, but at this price point, like, he's been good. But am I paying, like, if we look at his game log here, right? 40th, 24th, 25th, 61st, 24th. Like, he's played well. Like, don't get me wrong, but at this price point, I can't get there. Hadwin's been good. Mitchell's been terror. I'm not interested in. Adam Schenk is a guy that I'm very interested in. I talked about Cole. I like him. But yeah, I love Smalley's ability to score. With his irons. Let's just, if I'm going to put in all of my four core plays, right? So if we go Ches, and who's my fourth? Let me go back here. Losing my mind. Oh, yeah, Callum Tarrant, right? Callum Tarrant, super cheap. 89, actually not super cheap. There's another guy who is really cheap that I'm very interested in this week, and that is Dylan Wu, is 8,700. So maybe we put him in here. I got 10.5 left. So, and that's always the tricky part about an event like this, right? Typically, if I'm building this lineup, I'm going, okay, I'm just going to hammer that $10,000 range, right? But the question that you have to ask yourself, right, is I can go Jagger and Rogers, right? Solid. I don't hate that at all. But is that better than something like I said, Dylan Wu, right? Dylan Wu, that gives me how much left? I can get up to like Adam Hadwin. So what is the higher upside play here, right? And I honestly, this week, I think it's probably this. I think that $10,000 range is going to be really smashed. If we go really cheap here, let's say I want to go Denny. Okay, let's say I want to go Denny. I got 8,100 left. I can get guys like, wasn't there somebody at 8,300 I really liked? Oh, Sig. I like Sig a lot this week. I like Davis Thompson a lot this week. You'll find that in my cheat sheet. So if we come down here, we can play. Okay, we saw Marty Dow, right? I think that's probably my best look here on FanDuel. And again, you can't build anything close to this on DraftKings. It's just the way that FanDuel is priced, right? So if we enter that, dun 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 dun. Okay. We're in. I'm hopefully gonna get a Millie ticket. But yeah, you can't build anything like that. So that FanDuel build is a lot different than what you're gonna get on DraftKings, right? So if actually, let's just look here. If we go to DraftKings, what can I build? I'm assuming not much. Log in. Ugh, we gotta get a code. Come on now. Should have had this up. But yeah, you can't build anywhere near what we did there. We'll put our core in here, and then we'll look and see these. Should have had this up. All right. If we put in our core, so I go Henley, Reeve, Smalls, Taryn, right? If I wanted to try to go Denny, right? I got 5,000 left. Like, I can't even, like, there's nobody down here that I'm really even going to play this week. I might play Greg Chalmers. But the only guy I think I wrote up was Cody Gribble, who's been playing a little bit better. Who's this Onishi? Kaito Onishi. What's his game long say? Oh, he's on the KFT. And not doing well. I don't know how he got into the event. So let's say we go down here and play somebody like Grayson Sig, who's finding his game a little bit. That can get me up to like an 8,800. Play on Straka. Don't love any. I mean, what's the difference between Sepp Straka and Dougie Gim, right? The answer is not that much. I could play Gim and go right back to Hubbard or play Michael Kim. That might be the lineup I roll here. I don't think you necessarily need to get all the way down there. Is there anybody cheaper in here that we can roll? I said I liked Kazire. Let's go Carson Young. If I go Carson Young, that gets me up to anything worthwhile here. Not Bez isn't bad, right? Runner up here last year. So, I mean, but that's a significantly different lineup, right? That's a significantly different lineup than what we just did on DraftKings. So, again, I said we are going FanDuel centric here. I am setting up the DS for 20 lineups on FanDuel. Okay. And just let's take a look and see what it says. Right. Salary cap. I do try to go a little bit lower here on FanDuel, even with like 20 lineups. I don't mind going 59.5. You don't have to. I just think if you're building 20 for like a bigger tournament or 150 for let's say we're building, let's do this. Let's build 150 for they got the nickel game over there. Let me go back. I think the nickel game has 150 lineups. PGA. It's a good way to practice. Let me change my entry fee. Do they not have a nickel game this week? The pitching wedge is 150. Okay, there you go. Which is hard to get excited about at $100 entry. But let's say we're building 150, 20% rando. You don't have to. If we just ran this, you can, because FanDuel doesn't make you do anything. So let's just see what the DS kicks us. Honestly, like, the DS is smarter than I am. I don't hate this strategy at all. But again, the DS thinks fairly similar to me this week. It likes Seamus Power more than I do. But our top projected line by fantasy points is, it's giving us some Chad Ramey. All right. Is Henley, Aberg, Rogers, Stevens, Reeve, and Chad Ramey. Likes this, like this little double duty Aberg and Henley, which I'm not in love with. Okay, so if I was going to come through here and actually, mess with this a little bit, I would actually dislike my boy Aberg a little bit. I would like Henley. I'm going to leave him the same. I don't think I have to touch Smalley. It's already a pretty good value there, so he's not going to be messed with. But some of the, I'm going to go through and give me some of my cheaper guys that I enjoy, like a Dylan Wu. I got to get Callum Taryn in adjusted. Let's just run that. And again, this is what you got to do. Like, people think that, I mean, if I was really going to play these, right, like I would probably go through and do that about 40, 50 times before I settle on my 150. But yeah, look at now it's hustling me, all these guys. Smalley got dropped a little bit in my exposure, but I'm very high on pretty much everybody in here besides maybe Seamus Power. But he's only in 20%. Let's say I just dropped him to 10. Oh, my new lock isn't working. I want a little more Ches, so let's make sure we're getting like 30% there. Oh, it does like Lipsky. I'm going to put a minimum on Dougie Gim. Let's optimize again. Again, you got to kind of go through and mess with it a little bit each and every time. All right. Oh, we didn't talk about weather this week, but it's the Midwest. It's gonna rain in the afternoon. There really doesn't look like any sort of wave advantage. Schenk, Cole, Smalley, Taylor, Sepp, Straka. Woo, I don't mind that. Henley, Moore, Schenk, Gim, Reeve, Lipsky. Oh man, yeah, David Lipsky is really cheap over there. Chess and Hadley's cheap. I like him too. I'd put 20 on Chess. I think it's a good bounce back week for Mark Hubbard. I'm going to give him a little bit more love. Who am I missing down here? I think I need more Grayson Sig and Davis Thompson and Carson Young, right? So when you do this, what ends up happening is it's going to change everybody else's exposure because you are forcing them into your lineups. Oh yeah, we need more Marty Dow in this. At least 10% Marty Dow. I like Kazire. We'll put 10 on him. 1-0. I think Jonathan Bird's not the world's worst option. But I do like Michael Kim this week. Let's see what this gives me. I don't love like having 54 players in my pool, but in a week like this where it really just takes one random weirdo lineup mostly, I am a little bit more flexible on my pool. FanDuel especially, I'm way more flexible on my player pool on FanDuel. On DraftKings, I'm looking at like 30, 35. Over on FanDuel, I don't mind messing with that a little bit. It does have my best projected as a more of a balanced build, but ooh, I like this lineup. Henley, Cole, Grillo, Gim, Woo, and Patton. Lots of Eric Cole showing up at the top here. Lots of Henley, Grillo, Rogers, Lashley. Yeah, Lashley's due a bounce back with his irons. And I'm still getting, I'm probably going to be over the field here on Cam Young at 14%. So, that's again how I would go about and build my lineups this week on FanDuel. I hope that helps some of you guys that are playing on FanDuel. Let me know who your favorite FanDuel play is in the comments. Like, subscribe, and let's have a great JDC. Happy 4th of July, everybody. And we'll see you guys next week.